On the morning of November 8, 2018, the residents of Paradise, California awoke to what seemed like an ordinary day. Within hours, their lives would change forever as the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California's history tore through their community. Today we'll explore how this catastrophic event unfolded, its devastating impacts, and the crucial lessons it taught us about wildfire preparedness and environmental stewardship. Hello, and welcome to Deadliest Disasters, where we cover some of the most devastating events that happened throughout history. The Camp Fire, named after Camp Creek Road, ignited in Butte County, Northern California, a region known for its picturesque landscapes and tight-knit communities. Paradise, a town of about 27,000 residents, sat nestled among pine forests in the Sierra Nevada foothills. Weather conditions in the fall of 2018 were far from ideal. California had endured years of severe drought. Vegetation was bone dry. Humidity levels had plummeted. And to make matters worse, the region was experiencing unusually warm temperatures for November. This wasn't the first time Butte County faced wildfire threats, though. The region had a history of fire incidents due to its geography and climate. But what made this area particularly vulnerable was the urban-wildland interface, where homes and businesses exist directly alongside flammable forests and vegetation. At precisely 6:15 a.m. on November 8th, a spark ignited near Camp Creek Road in Pulga, California. Investigations would later determine that the fire began when a faulty electrical transmission tower malfunctioned. This tower was owned by Pacific Gas and Electric Company, known as PG&E. Specifically, a Warren C hook broke, causing a power line to come into contact with the tower's structure. This created sparks that fell into the dry vegetation below. What turned these sparks into a catastrophe were the extraordinary conditions. Winds were gusting up to 50 miles per hour that morning. Relative humidity was below 10%, and after years of drought, the landscape was effectively a tinderbox waiting to ignite. What happened next defied all expectations. The campfire spread at an unprecedented rate, moving the equivalent of a football field every second during its most intense period. Within 90 minutes of ignition, the fire had reached the town of Paradise. By midday, much of Paradise was engulfed. By evening, the fire had consumed over 20,000 acres, and by the time it was fully contained, over 17 days later, it had burned more than 150,000 acres, an area larger than the city of Chicago. The fire's behavior was described by experts as extreme and erratic. Embers were carried miles ahead of the main fire front by strong winds, creating spot fires that complicated both predictions and response efforts. The topography of ravines and canyons created chimney effects, further accelerating the fire's spread. As the fire approached Paradise, evacuation orders were issued. But the speed of the fire's advance, combined with limited evacuation routes and a population that included many elderly residents, created a chaotic situation. Roads quickly became jammed with vehicles trying to escape. The human toll was devastating. 85 people lost their lives, making the Camp Fire the deadliest wildfire in California's modern history. Over 50,000 people were forced to evacuate, many with just minutes to gather their belongings. The physical destruction was equally staggering. More than 18,000 structures were destroyed, including nearly 14,000 homes. The town of Paradise lost approximately 90% of all of its buildings. Historic landmarks, schools, hospitals, and businesses all reduced to ash in a matter of hours. Beyond the visible destruction lay profound psychological wounds. Survivors experienced severe trauma, with many reporting symptoms of PTSD. Communities were scattered as residents were forced to relocate, often permanently. Family histories, preserved in photographs and heirlooms, vanished in the flames. Response to the campfire involved thousands of personnel from local, state, and federal agencies. More than 5,600 firefighters battled the blaze, supported by hundreds of engines, dozens of helicopters, and air tankers. Despite their heroic efforts, responders faced extraordinary challenges. Communication systems were overwhelmed or damaged. The rapid spread outpaced the ability to deploy resources effectively, and the sheer scale of evacuation needs stretched emergency services beyond their capacity. It would take 17 grueling days before the fire was fully contained on November 25th. By then, rain had finally arrived, helping firefighting efforts by creating new challenges with potential mudslides and burn areas. The environmental impact of the campfire extended far beyond the visible destruction of forests. Soil quality was severely compromised, increasing erosion risks. Waterways faced contamination from ash and debris. Wildlife habitats were destroyed, displacing countless animals. Economically, the disaster inflicted an estimated $16 billion in damages. Insurance claims reached unprecedented levels, leading some companies to withdraw coverage from fire-prone areas. The rebuilding process would require massive investment and years of construction. The campfire forced a painful reconsideration of development patterns. The vulnerability of communities built in the wildland-urban interface became impossible to ignore, raising difficult questions about where and how we should build in fire-prone regions. In the aftermath, significant changes were implemented. PG&E faced massive liability, eventually pleading guilty to 84 counts of involuntary manslaughter. The company was forced to overhaul its maintenance protocols and implement a more aggressive vegetation management around power lines. Public awareness and preparedness programs expanded dramatically. New early warning systems were developed. Evacuation protocols were revised to accommodate faster-moving fires. Community education about defensible space and home hardening became a priority. As Paradise and other communities rebuild, they're doing so with fire resilience in mind. New construction incorporates fire-resistant materials. Defensible space requirements have been strengthened. Infrastructure is being redesigned to facilitate safer evacuations. Technology is playing a critical role in improving preparedness. Advanced satellite monitoring, AI-powered early detection systems, and improved fire behavior modeling help identify potential fire faster and predict their spread more accurately. Cross-agency collaboration has also improved. Federal, state, and local authorities now work more closely together on prevention, preparedness, and response. Utility companies coordinate more effectively with fire agencies on risk management. The campfire represents both a tragedy and a turning point. The loss of life and destruction it caused can never be undone, but from its ashes has emerged a new understanding of wildfire risk and a commitment to building more resilient communities. As we continue to face increasing wildfire threats in a changing climate, the lessons of the campfire remain vitally important. Effective prevention requires investment in infrastructure maintenance, sustainable land management, and climate action. Preparedness demands continued education, improved warning systems, and community-level planning, and when disasters do strike, coordinated, well-resourced response efforts can make the difference between life and death. Thanks for watching today's video on this devastating but important historical event. If you found this informative, please hit that like button and subscribe for more historical deep dives. And let me know in the comments what other overlooked historical events you'd like to learn about. Until next time, this has been Deadliest Disasters.